have him a little bit higher. I think he's just a little bit more athletic, but they kind of, like you said on Tyler Johnson, like there's nothing that neither of them like are extremely good at. They're both just really solid all around, not a lot of holes in their game. And Edwards kind of has the same thing where he went back for his senior year when he could have came out last year. So do they profile similarly to you?
Linsky. Unbelievable catch by Bryan Edwards. Hander from Bryan Edwards. OBJ, eat your heart out.
Yeah, Bryan Edwards, another another 4-year wide receiver that's coming into this class. There are similarities. I think Bryan Edwards is a guy that I also really like, but it's at the age of which he produced the way that he produced that really intrigues me. We're talking about he was 17 for half of his freshman season, and that qualifies as an age 17 breakout. Now, I don't believe I have any age 17 breakouts in my database. Bryan Edwards is the first, and when you're able to do that at such a young age, I think that's really, really telling. But then when we look at Bryan Edwards and both Deebo Samuel on the field at the same time, there are very strong indicators that suggest that Bryan Edwards was not only slightly better than Deebo, but he was a guy that was able to hold his own, especially in red zone situations and in terms of market share of receiving touchdowns. But he was a guy that strongly competed with Deebo Samuel, and we see how Deebo Samuel translated to the NFL. I don't really understand why people aren't on Bryan Edwards a little bit more, because everyone was on Deebo Samuel coming out, and Deebo Samuel had a fair amount of injury concerns, had some holes in his profile, and Bryan Edwards has nothing but really, really strong metrics throughout his entire career at South Carolina. So for me, I don't necessarily think that Tyler Johnson and Bryan Edwards profile the same. Tyler Johnson was much more dominant in his respective offense, but last year dealing with Rashad Bateman, we did see that dip. Bryan Edwards just kind of continuously produced from age 17 all the way through age 20. And he does come in at a really good age. He is coming in at age 20 despite playing those 4 years at South Carolina. So he's kind of, just thinking about it too right now, he's kind of he's going to be a weird prospect to kind of pin on what can we expect from him, because we really don't have a comp that we can say, okay, he broke out at age 17 and now he's entering the draft at age 20. He's still entering at a very young age. He won't be 21, 22 when he hits the NFL draft. He's going to be 20. And so I think he's kind of a curious case there. So I wouldn't say comparisons outside of maybe both of them spending 4 years at their respective schools. But yeah, Bryan Edwards, another really intriguing prospect. I don't know why a lot of people aren't on him even more, and they should be.
Yeah, I mean, he seems like a guy that a lot of people are kind of – I've seen him as high for people as 3 or 4, and then you see him as low as 12 or 13 for people. But I think there's a lot to like with Bryan Edwards as well, and I think he is one of the more interesting prospects. And I know I've seen some knocks against him when it comes to his athleticism, but I did see somewhere, I think that he was clocked this year, by kind of like next gen stats, where he one play he got up to 22 miles an hour, which I think was the highest among any wide receiver this year. So I think he certainly is a little bit underrated in terms of his athleticism. So. I honestly think that he's the next Chris Godwin. Like I think that's who he is, and that's who I think his ceiling can be. So I'm pretty excited about Bryan Edwards myself, and I'm to see what he does at the next level. So it's gonna be fun to see where he winds up. I just hope it's not like the Raiders or something where I have to hate.
Bentley gets him set. Out of the shotgun, he's gonna try to run a play. Shotgun snap. Bentley looking left side. Now down the middle of the field. Gonna throw into coverage, leaping Edwards. Did he get it? It's at the 13-yard line. Caught. Bryan Edwards leaped up and caught the football at the 14-yard line. 11 seconds to go in the ball game. Now they got to spike it after the 41-yard catch.